Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Bayer to cut their dividends by 95%, which is quite concerning to say the least. Now, this is because Bayer, a couple years ago, bought out Monsanto, which is most famously known for being a manufacturer of things like harsh chemicals that kill plants like Roundup. Well, they kill weeds. Well, spoiler alert, and very sad, they also kill people too and causes detrimental negative health. And there was a huge ruling, we're talking billions of dollars, against Roundup, and there's a settlement associated with that. So that's a huge thing they're going to have to pay out. So subsequently, that's now part of Bayer, because again, Roundup was manufactured by Monsanto. Monsanto is owned by the parent company Bayer. Now, slashing the dividends, there's a couple business blunders here. Now, obviously, the first of which being, I don't know if they just didn't do enough thorough research, because again, Roundup was one of the biggest things in Monsanto portfolio. Monsanto also had a pretty sketchy past. There's a myriad of YouTube documentaries noting their sketchy business practices, and again, they did have an overwhelming market share, so I understand why Bayer bought them. But I don't want to say the writing was on the wall, but there's surely some red signs or red flags, so to say. And not only did they buy the company, but they also have this huge liability, and now they're going to cut the dividends by 95%, which is almost unfathomable. Now, again, they're saying that this is because they're having to deal with the acquisition of Monsanto, which is, again, that means they have massive debt and litigation going against the company. Now, this article actually is an OG, or it actually comes from an old website that's somehow still, well, we know it was acquired, still hanging in there, Yahoo, which, geez Louise, if you don't remember Blockbuster or VHS tapes, you probably never heard of Yahoo, but Yahoo used to be so big. They're bigger than Google. They refused to sell to Google. They also refused to sell to Microsoft, and Microsoft offered them, it was like $40 billion, and of course they turned that down. At the end of the day, I think they sold to Verizon for like $4 or $5 billion. Like a fraction of what they could. And also, I mean, hindsight's always 2020 when it comes to, finance and stocks and trading and buying and selling. But geez Louise, they did the opposite of selling at the peak. They sold at the valley, and that was not great. Now, they note that in terms of the actual analytics, or getting down to some of the data, now they said, quote, while a dividend cut was expected, the reduction highlights the challenges facing the drug and crop sciences company as it tries to stem its cash drain, unquote. Now, that has to be pun intended. I certainly hope so. But if they didn't, I certainly did. And, quote, rebuild its pharmaceutical pipeline and recover from the $63 billion takeover of the owner of Roundup herbicide in 2018. That is quite a big acquisition, $63 billion to buy that company out, and now they have to pay out a lot of money to deal with all the lawsuits, all the settlements resulting from Roundup. Now, Bayer said that it will offer investors only the legal minimum required under German law, paying out 11 euro cents, or 12 cents US dollar, per share for 2023, down from $2.40, or I don't know what you call those European thingamajigs, $2.40 European monopoly money. Granted, unfortunately, we have fiat junk currency as well, but nevertheless, I would say our fiat currency is slightly cooler than theirs. Now, again, they say I can't imagine how irate are the investors going to be. They're getting the bare minimum. So imagine going from about $2.40 per share to 12 cents. That's and the only reason they didn't get rid of it completely was because of the law. Oh my gosh, that is. Now they also note that the company has been facing thousands of lawsuits claiming that Roundup causes cancer, which it denies. The debt pile of more than $38.7 billion, according to recent filing, is becoming increasingly hard to manage amid growing legal costs and rising interest rates. Because again, friendly reminder, the days of cheap, basically free cash are gone. It's going to be gone for quite some time, which, again, a lot of tech companies, a lot of pharmaceutical companies, a lot of these companies were, not, I would say, somewhat artificially propped up because they can get these loans for basically nothing, which, again, helps fuel not just stability of the company, but also to grow the company with more research development as well as acquisition. Now, in terms of, let me see here, kind of going to the stock price of Bayer, because in terms of, and again, not financial advice, but it's down quite a bit. Let's see here. So you put the Bayer stock, their 5-year trend is down 58.78%. Year to date, they're down 50.26%, half off, some might say, trading at about $7.80 per share. Now, year to date, granted, the year is relatively just started, it's down 16.87%. 6-month trend is down 43.08%. Next month is down around 13.36%. It looks like the 2022 revenue was $50.74 billion. They got about 100,873 employees as of 2023. So they are quite big to say the least. But all those settlements and now the dividends going down to nothing. And again, there's a whole investing community that only buys business stock in companies that pay dividends. I mean, some of the most famous ones in terms of blue chip stocks or companies that pay dividends pretty much all the time. I believe one would be Exxon, Chevron are pretty consistent. And again, not financial advice, but I read about these companies, then they pretty consistently pay them out. You also have AT&T, Ford Motor Company, where again, they pay the dividends so that you're rewarded to keep the stock. So again, a lot of companies, they don't pay dividends. You just buy the stock, and over time, the stock will go up. And then at the end of the day, when you retire, you want to sell stock, then you make a profit, hopefully, or sometimes make a loss. Now, they have all these mounting issues, and they also are going to get rid of all the incentives to keep the stock. Again, how many people are going to sell it just to invest in something that will pay them and reward them just to keep holding the shares? So you already have people who are probably selling the stock because they're scared to bejesus because there are a lot of issues with the company, a lot of red flags, a lot of warning signs. Now, add this to it. Again, there are multiple business blunders, and I don't know if I necessarily have all the right answers. Maybe one or two throughout my life, I'll have a good answer there here or there. But again, slashing it by 95% and still having all these settlements, I mean, that's got to be the business blunder of the day. Thank you again, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, I'm trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so you can click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a comment, thumbs up, thumbs down, or sharing it is also a great way to give me some additional feedback and help the channel grow. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.